did exactly that. But here we are into the bans and drafts.
Right, let's take a look at what they have on the side of R8. First few bans, we're going to have the Hainor as well as the Luna being taken out of the picture. So these two heroes will not be available in the game. Now, Loopers, they will be continuing the trend we have seen today. It's going to be a Da Qiao as well as a Dolia ban Dolia ban. So they will start off the first pick on the side of R8, going with the Arlie. We've already seen the stellar performance by Shanks. This time, we'll see if Ryoichi is able to pick up the pace as well with the Arlie in his hands.
If I remember correctly, I think we actually got R8 on the Arlie pick yesterday. I believe it was actually one of their picks for yesterday. Obviously, their Byron pick was another big pickup for them. Obviously, Illidian on the Byron, especially paired with Zenon getting that Mai Shiranui as well. This makes me even more hyped for R8 this time around, but they just got to make sure that they don't underestimate Loop Esports, because again, for those new joining in, this team was second place within the Chuck BR tournament that's just literally taken place. They were beaten by VKS, but VKS was managed to just beat Boom Esports, who were the favorites for their respective group. But Loop Esports looking to draft in the Mayin, the Zhongfei, and the Jing. Oh my days, back-to-back Jing games. Come on, baby, bring Jing to 50% win rate, yo.
Yup, and there's going to be a lot of control coming out from Lupus as well, with the whatever coming in from the Mayin, as well as the Unbridled Outburst from Zhang Fei. That's quite a lot of CC into the lineup on the side of R8. Now, they're going to complement this by taking away the Zhuangzi, which means there is no anti-CC properties, and as well as there's no Thun available for them. So they will not have to deal with the Unruly Blade. They don't have to care too much about the backline access coming in from R8. Now, R8 is looking at a different kind of tempo. They are taking away the Ho E as well as the Lady Sun. They don't want to deal with the insane amount of damage and DOT, damage over time, that they're going to be able to offer against the Byron, right? Byron with the force field suppression, when he's able to get the extra shield, and as well as the passive, the Fearless Chariot, you want to be able to get the lifesteal, and you don't want people to nullify that effect. So that's why they've taken out these two farm laners as well, and I think it's a pretty clever ban. Now the question is, who are they going to pick? Right now we've already seen a couple of Tiers in the Gorge itself, and I think we are kind of moving in that direction for the side of Lupus.
Yes, and I was just about to literally say, for the side of R8 Esports, I believe that Kaiser is going to come through with the Sunbin. As soon as we saw that Ho Yi ban, I kind of started to see that the picture was getting painted there, that Kaiser was going to grace the Gorge onto the side of R8. They haven't gone for their Liempo that they did yesterday, but again, as we've just saw from Team Vitality, Kaiser is a fantastic hero, being able to get into the nitty-gritty, being able to support your backline all the way from the front and just allow them to do damage. But it's going to be really interesting to see who Loops is going to lock in for their ADC. Like you said, DRNG is available. They could go for something completely different, and Marco Polo here, but again, we're not too sure what they are going to lock in, and this is it. DRNG is going to go in for that one. Obviously, having the cleanse, which is going to be very helpful, especially when you're trying to get caught out by Moi Shiranui. But you don't want to be cleansing Sunbin's ability, because that will just wipe your health off you before you even get to anywhere safe. So do not cleanse when Sunbin has her abilities on you.
Yeah, and right now, I think in terms of the farm lane, it's going to be a competition of who is going to get their core item first, right? We've already seen the standard build coming out from both farm laners. So for the RD, she's going to be looking to rush the Doomsday, right? For the side of Demons here, most of the time they will be rushing for that Sparkforge Dagger. This is what the pros have been doing so far. So it really comes down to who is able to provide space for their farm lane to get as many last hits as possible. And in the meantime, we've already seen the progression in the mid laners as well. So I'm looking at Xenon to try and steal as many of the ball camps as available. Likewise for Kank, if he's able to make the room for them to get the steal into their respective jungles on the side of R8 Esports, it could prove to be the deal breaker for Lupus to get that advantage in their hands.
Yeah, like you were saying, Kin, they both have a means of getting in there and sort of setting up a fantastic team fight for both either Loop Esports, I think obviously Zhongfei, but then onto the side of R8 Esports, they have that Kaiser pick. So again, two brutal frontline heroes. There is no Dune to be surfaced onto the Gorge today, but there is these two Titans coming through here. But once again, Kaiser helping up into the Clash lane just to get a bit of a faster clear for the Byron to try and free him up, just to try and aid him in that 1v1 matchup against the Mayim, because we do know that Byron can win the lane against most of these Clash laners. But again, if the ganks do come through from the likes of the Jing going 2v1 early game between Mayim and Jing and the Byron, is probably not going to look too happy for you. You're more than likely going to get run down in that early game, which is, you don't want a hero like Byron to be punished. You want him to shine and be able to have the confidence to be able to go to the back line of the enemy team just to lap them up and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, when he has access into your backlines, it's going to be really dangerous. I think Mithy may be a little bit out of position. I don't think they can get the kill. Support is coming in from Kank. He's going to use his leaping savior, sorry, and that is going to save his life for the moment. But this means they're buying a little bit more time for Ryoichi to kind of outlane our farm lane for Zia in the bottom side of the map.
Yep, a little bit of an on-brand skill there to save himself. He used that skill, Zhongfei, getting over the wall. But like you said, Mithy was definitely stepped in that whole interaction. He could have been the victim of the first blood. But speaking of first blood, we do have Mayim and Jing down into the mid lane here, hoping to what could potentially be a leech onto the Mai Shiranui, because again, Zenin on this Mai we saw yesterday was a fantastic performance, was able to get a round or a game off of All Gamers Global as well, thanks to this pick. But it was also paired with the likes of the Lian Po, which again is another fantastic hero for those team fight engages.
Yep, and as it stands now, I think a pretty good start for the side of R8. They have managed to get themselves a very, very slight lead. It's just about a few hundred gold, right, at this point. Lupus, they haven't really kicked into gear yet. You can see they're both transitioning into the farming state, so they just want to make sure that they're ready for the fights. They want the first few core items to pop up in their inventory before they really start to commit and make a play that could swing the momentum over to their side.
Yep, the goal, I mean, it seems to be the story of the day, other than the match one of the day, where we saw the gold heavily go towards the favor of Team Secret. The past two games have been very knit to knit with that gold. It's just been flittering and flirting with both of these teams and just going like a pendulum between both the teams. And you'll see it in the gold graph towards the post-game analytics that it's never just sort of like an astute sort of one-sided thing. It just kind of levels out for quite some time in the early game, and then you get to that sort of 8 to 9 minute mark where it's either goes in the complete opposite direction or continues to just go on the trajectory of the winning team. But using the teleport mechanic to get back to the mid lane, Lady Chen is now back and present, so there is no push on this new wave here, trying to catch out Zen in there with a nice knock-up from the Lady Chen, but Jing is nearby, also Kaiser. We could be getting a little bit of a 2v2 action here going on, but again, just using their jungles to clear the wave quicker, and Mai was just a little bit more effective on that one. They're looking to catch out. The Lady Chen gets taken down first blood, but is Jing going to be the answer to take it down as well? Yes, Jing is trading with the Mai Shiranui, but Kaiser was not done. He gets the kill under Abe on the side of Loop Esports, which is a great setup for this Tyrant here. No jungle, no mid lane, free Tyrant, baby.
Yep, exactly, and R8, they're super happy with this. This is the R8 I'm expecting for today, and that was a very clean execution, right? She have doing so well to not only just help support the Mai, they get the kill on Kank, but more importantly, they get the kill onto ABH, and that's important. Time lapse going to be dropped as well, and you know, right now, you can start to see the swing. Suddenly, we have a 1,000 goal lead going into the advantage of R8.
Oh yes, just all it took was that mid lane interaction there to get that gold lead into your favor, and just as R8 showed. But to be honest, the Loops, they did counter it pretty easily there in the mid lane, but unfortunately it just ended up in a 2v or a 2-1 trade there. and obviously the Tyrant going as well. So again, it was a fruitful engage for the side of RA Esports and an unfortunate one for the side of Loops. But we could still be seeing here that maybe go for the Overlord, but Kaiser is sticking to this mid lane like glue because, again, trying to run this mid lane down, trying to get as much priority in that mid lane is just meaning that Kaiser is going to have an earlier access to Loop's jungle if they're able to get that cleared. But now, because the minion waves are cleared in the mid lane, we could be seeing a massive rotation here as well, with the Byron rotating down to the bot lane with the teleport mechanic. We could be seeing a setup here for a team fight down on the bot side.
Yeah, but as of now, I think R8 not gonna bite onto the bait at this point because Loops, I think they're kind of ready. But if R8 figure out that, hey, Lady Chen is no longer here, that could be the marker for them to decide to just take a bite out of the flesh of Loops at this point.
Yes, but it seems like Kaiser is wanting to help himself to that Sage buff. However, Jing is still tied up in that mid lane. Now they are going to leave it to it because, again, they are all close by on that bottom side of the map. That is not what you want to be caught out in, especially if you've already started on the Sage buff and then they end up stealing it from you anyway. So again, that could have been a non-starter for RA Esports. So I think that was a tactical retreat that they had to take there. Miffy in this bush, waiting patiently, hoping that Ryoshi just overextends a little too much here. But no, there seems to be a 3v2 happening in the farm lane. Nice paracel there from the Arlie, keeping her safe, able to just dish a little bit of damage, trying to sort of wind up the side of Loops Esports right now.
Yeah, that was a good deterrence, to be honest, because it really felt like Loops was going to take that T1 on the bottom. It looked inevitable at that point. So a very good combination of the timelines going in with the Maple Dance as well. I think R8 has already shown themselves to be of standard and substance. But now Illidan, he's stuck in no man's land, going to be taken out with the Mirror Domain as well. It's a 2-on-1, so you can't really blame him at this point.
Yeah, we did allude to the fact about that Clash Lane going that 2v1 early game onto the Byron, and unfortunately they are able to take the first tier turret into the Clash Lane because, again, Shihab looking a little bit absent from that side of the map. They're a little bit too focused, and Loops has definitely abused that fact, knowing that, okay, Kaiser likes to stick around that bot side of the map. Let's abuse the Byron into the Clash Lane, take him down, take the first tier turret, and we could be seeing a potential brawl here in the mid lane between them all. Okay, Ryuchi is going in. The risk from that Arlie play, which is what we just love to see when Arlie gets locked in the draft.
Well, what a play from there. I mean, I honestly wouldn't go for that because I can't calculate the risk that I'm taking, but what a play. Ryoichi showing everyone why Arlie is so frequent in the ban phases.
Yep, and that was the favorite there. Zenon actually getting picked off again. It seems like the same old Sunga dance. I got a bit of a taste of deja vu there, but Loops with the aggression from Clash Lane. Now, the knock-on effect to that mid lane after that engage, but really trying to punish the fact that Arlie was able to take out the Lady Chen. However, they did lose that mid lane, so we was kind of hoping for the side of R8 to be the ones that were going to be capitalizing on that early mid-game abuse that we saw there onto the Mai. But unfortunately, it has swapped around and gone into favor for Loop Esports, clearing up that first tier turret in the mid lane. We've got to make sure that R8 just don't underestimate Loops for the rest of this match.
Yep. You know, at this point, R8 actually they're in quite a bad position because they lost the T1s on the mid and the top. So that's a lot of the map that's going to go dark for the side of R8, right? And that's a risk. So you can see Loops, they're already starting to poise themselves on the upper side of the map, waiting for any stragglers to show up. And there is burst potential coming out from the Loops lineup. So I'm really concerned about them face-checking pushes at this point.
Yeah, again, we saw that R8 was able to take their farm lane turret as well, so it is 2 for 2. There is a equalization in that turret game, but I don't think it's an equal turret takedown because that mid lane is definitely more important than one of these side lanes. You definitely want to be taking down that first tier turret and making a lot more damage and a lot more presence into that mid lane because it opens up your enemy's jungle. But again, we see that Ryoji is just being so confrontational with this early pick, and I feel like this is the only way you can really play this hero, because if you're just playing it a little bit too passive and don't take those risky ones, then you are just going to sort of be like any other marksman. You may as well just be playing like a Luban number 7, something that's just so immobile. But with Ali just being so agile and being able to get around the way that most other marksmen would be able to, is definitely the way you want to play it. But we do see some more turret takedowns being gone for in that clash lane. So second tier turret gun, they are literally at their higher ground turret in the clash lane, still not being able to take that mid lane turret from the side of Loops.
Yep, and all of a sudden, you can start to see R8 suddenly has a little bit more dominance around the map, right? Now tier 3s are in actual threat on the side of Loops, so they have to be very careful about the fights that they pick. And at this point, you can see she have a lot of confidence. He's going to be able to stand in the front because he's just buying room for Ryoichi to really just go in. And you know, with the skill set, the kit that Ryoichi has, he's happy to dive. It doesn't matter because at this point he has that escape mechanism, and Shihab, you can see, asserting the dominance of R8 across the map. They want the 2-2s across the board. Who cares about your mid lane? Let's just take the side lanes.
Yeah, I mean, R8 are currently kind of trying to take that same kind of approach that Team Vitality did, but rather than that mid lane domination, they are looking for those side lanes. But okay, Mai may have got caught out there ever so slightly. Jing as well tried to go in onto the Byron, but just no luck at all. But these Vanguards really putting some pressure onto the side of Loop Esports. I feel like if they didn't get this overload, they would not be in this privileged situation that they are currently in, R8, because they have obviously the second tier turret gone into the farm lane, the clash lane. They are pretty much at the higher ground turrets in both of those side lanes. So all they need to really do is just open up that mid lane. We want to see the eyes on the prize and taking that down. But again, it's just trying to get those minions in, and this could be the wave that we were looking for. But Lady Shen drops that ultimate, but I don't think that's just going to be the only bit of engage there. Kaiser taking a lot of damage, but nobody dies there. Ali's able to take down the first tier turret, but down goes Mai Yi. Tempest is down, but then traded for the Byron pick. Nobody's able to catch the Jing. Jing gets a double kill onto the Sun Bin as well. Oh boy, this is why you don't let a Brazilian team pick the Jing.
That's right. AVH want to play there, and I think, you know, at this point, R8, they have been picking their fights, but Loops has shown that, hey, it doesn't matter when you're going to pick your fights. We are going to out-skill you, out-mechanically skill you, and at this point, Xenon may be in trouble. Ryoichi as well. Xenon gets caught out. AVH, what is that? It's, instant deletion here, and I think we will be having a pause here, so it is going to be requested by R. Yeah, so,
okay, so
I mean, so far, this game for you, Blam, how is it going?
Yeah, I mean, the rocky start for R8, obviously, we saw a promising mid lane, that little brawl between Jing, Mai, and Lady Chen, and obviously Kaiser there towards the end of that one. I honestly thought that we was going to be seeing a little bit more of a dominance there from R8, but then the tower pressure definitely came onto the side of Loop Esports, but really kind of awoken something up there within R8 Esports, because then they tried to replicate that same kind of thing, and they did very well with both the side lanes, running them down to the high ground turret, as Zenon obviously got caught out there, but whether that was down to the fault of the device or himself is yet to be seen. But again, I think it's going, like, it's very even. I thought that this could have been a lot more one-sided, but I think R8 is definitely just showing that they are a name to be contested here, especially with them always seeming to lose towards their counterpart in the MENA region, which is obviously Team Vulcans. So for them to do this well on Season 2 Invitational stage makes me think that either Team Vulcans is going to be even greater at EWC, or they are going to have something to prove next time they meet R8 in a tournament scene, because again, R8 are doing fantastic so far, making the Giants bleed on the side of All Gamers Global. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and now they're going neck to neck with Loops Esports, who by far have probably had a lot more Honor of Kings experience than we thought compared to R8.
Yeah, Loops at this point, you can tell they're feeling the pressure, right? Their faces are scrunched up, their eyebrows are furrowed at this point. But more importantly, I just want to point out something that I noticed, and this is specifically for the mid laner on the side of Loops, right? At this point, his itemization, he does have the Splendor and the Mask of Agony, along with the boots, and that's it, right? So I kind of think R8 has spoiled the game for the mid laner of Loops, and that's why they're struggling, right? Because Lady Chen isn't able to offer that much damage. Yes, Mask of Agony deals percentage health damage, but at this point, he's always at risk of being chased down and hunted by Ryoichi, and nobody has been able to stop this aggression from the farm lane of the side of R8.
There we go. We have some of the Osiris players there cheering on Loop Esports. Obviously, both being part of the same region, even though this is an Argentine team, but they have played against each other recently. So it's nice to see that the regions do support each other, and obviously with VKS's closing interview, their winning interview, they said that they are going to be supporting Loop Esports for 80 because when they are abroad, they are brothers in one, which I think is a really nice sentiment between, even in a competitive scene, you want to be supporting everybody in your region, which is a really wholesome thing to come through, even in a competitive game like Honor of Kings.
That's right. I mean, it really is about representation, right? And at this point, we are all about supporting your friends. And, you know, it really is a support system for the entire esports ecosystem as well. So we really hope that you can also do that favor for us and support us in this invitational for Season 2. Now, in the meantime, I'd like to bring the attention back to the Kang, right? So I want to see how he's going to be able to kind of catch up in terms of farm, because he needs to have the damage against Shihab, or else this jungler for the Kaiser will go out of control.
Yeah, I think that's probably the old function of the Lady Shen, obviously, with that ultimate, just being able to sort of be like a stop-start for the Kaiser. He has to go in, but he also has to soak a lot of damage. They do manage to get... Actually, no, the Overlord's still pretty low, but the blue team is taking some L's here. They do manage to take the side of the Overlord on Loop Esports, but that is a 3-1 trade for R8 Esports. I mean, that fight was literally fought in so many different places. You had... so many of the team down onto the mid side of the river, and then you had some towards the back of the Overlord. It was kind of just like, where do we keep our little BDIs aimed onto? But this could be a curtain call here, because Lady Shen is still 11 seconds up. We have Kaiser going in very sticky onto the back of the Zhang Fei, and down goes Mayin, so no damage for you. It's just a matter of waiting for those minions to rock up to the crystal, but their little legs aren't fast enough, Kin. Unfortunately for the side of R8, they're not going to be able to finish it there. It seemed a little bit too hopeful, but Mayin served her purpose. She wiped out the wave and stopped the crystal takedown.
Yeah, that was a game-winning play there for Tempest, actually, because he actually saved the life of the team. It would have been over if they didn't clear the minions there. And bear in mind, this is a super minion wave that's going to be marching down into the lanes as well. Let's take a look at the growth of the items so far. Looks like we will be expecting a Glacial Buckler coming out from this Lady Chen. So Kank wants to go for that 20% cooldown reduction. On the flip side, somehow they actually got their hands on Ryoichi here. I think it was the thing, and let's take a look at the itemization there. It is Siege Breaker, one of the most damaging items in the game, along with the Master Sword as well as the Axe Torment. So there is huge burst potential coming out from ADH. Now the question is, can they get into position? Now this is not really a high kill game. It's 8-7 on the scoreboard here at 16 minutes into the game. And as it stands now, it is advantage going to R8. They have broken and found an entry point into the top lane. Tier 3s are down there. Now the question is, can Loops find the kink in the armor here, the chink in the armor here against R8?
Yeah, I think that's probably like their next point of call, because if they can't find that, I mean, R8 already kind of found their way and what works for them into these team fights, because not only do they have such brawlers like the Byron, we see that Zenon on this Mai is just leaps and bounds ahead in the gold lead against the Lady Shen right now. I think last time we saw that gold difference, Lady Shen was on 6.5k, whereas we saw that Mai and Zenon were both on around about that 10, almost teetering on the edge of 11k, which is a huge difference in a lane alone. So trying to recover that difference in this late game now is going to be near impossible for Lady Shen. She's just going to have to realize that she is just a utility mage. She's not going to be getting any amazing kills or amazing plays. It's all about just stunting that Kaiser engage from R8. But again, cleaning out that minion wave means that that middle lane is as safe for now.
Yeah, and one more thing to add on is that, Kang, I think he has been consistently chased by Ryoichi, and Ryoichi now has the Sun Chaser, so the extra attack range is going to be quite detrimental to the side of Kang, and that's something I'm really worried about for the side of Loops. But if they can figure a way out to protect Kang, get him and allow him to stay alive as long as possible, the destructive deluge can be the game changer in the team fights as well.
Yeah, we saw that Ava was trying to get some sort of macro play there, trying to push those minions to the high ground turret. However, we see that Illidan does go and to stop that minion wave, but in regards to that, in the response for R8, they was able to get that mid-tier turret in the mid lane. So not quite the high ground turret, but it could have been fruitful for them. They did it very well because they pushed the minions in the clash lane all the way to potentially the inhibitor. Mayin had to drop away, so did the rest of the team. That meant that they had to give up that mid lane second tier turret, which is going to work wonders for R8 the next time that they get a huge team fight off of the side of Loop Esports, which looks like to be brewing any second now. We got Mayin at the top side of this team fight. We have Zhongfei in that brush as well. We may be seeing somewhat of a pincer movement because nobody knows that Mayin is there. She is just waiting for the backline to get a little bit more damaged. She is looking for, there is some movement on the minimap there, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe R8 have just realized that she is missing. That is an issue. You don't want to be seeing a missing Mayin.
Yeah, it could be a tunnel vision play as well. They want to go for the split push, and it looks like, yes, they will go for the neutral objective.
Oh, Splendor coming through. The Splendor coming through there from the Mai really just saves Zenon as well. But we do see that Abe was able to get the Shadow Tyrant. They push the minion wave as well into the clash lane. Is this where they're going to go and try and get the Overlord? With knowing that Jing is nowhere near that Overlord, this seems like it's going to be a clear one because Miffy could not get into it. Obviously, we see that Zhongfei did take the smite as well, but unfortunately was just not able to get into that team fight. It was either Miffy go in trying to get a crucial kill theft, or he was going to die, but it is decided to just like, no, we're not going to approach it. We'll leave this for the Tempest Dragon, which is up in 20 seconds. This is the first Tempest Dragon of the day, Kin. The third match in, first Tempest Dragon. People in the chat at home, let that sink in. That's how quick the previous games have been. No Tempest, but this time around, we are seeing the first Tempest Dragon come onto the Gorge.
Yep, the 5-second disruption on the turrets is going to be huge, and at this point, there's one more thing we need to consider. Ryoichi actually has a Sage's Sanctuary, which means he's going to have a double life at this point, and that might be the turning point, which kind of gets Loops to overcommit during fights, because Ryoichi is going to play very dangerously at this point.
Yeah, because he not only obviously has his recall with his Paracel, he's able to just go in, feel like he's going to do a lot of damage onto one of these squishy heroes, like we just maybe saw there with the Jing in the farm lane, but then they think they may have caught him out, but then Sage's Sanctuary comes through, he's able to get back to his Parasol, and then that's it, he's out, he's scot-free, he's able to just go back and do what he needs to do, or re-engage, because we've seen some high-risk, high-reward replays from people and players picking up the Arlie throughout the entire of the Season 2 Invitational. But again, I feel like this is all brewing up around that Tempest Dragon. They're just got to make sure that they don't remain all the focus and that there is any kind of push here on one of the lanes, because if anything goes upset in this Tempest Dragon fight, we have the Zhongfei looking for a rotation in. We know that he has the smite, but he able to get back and use the shield and leap onto one of his compadres on the side of Loop Esports. But Zenon and we see that Zenon and Mayin are taking trades in that mid lane. We see that Miffy is able to close the crucial kill theft onto the Tempest Dragon. That is a 1-1 trade. The Sage's Sanctuary comes through both on Byron, both on Jing. Down goes Kaiser, but he has the Sage's Sanctuary as well. He's back up. The Jing is down. But then we see that Derenji is just able to rinse Kaiser within that team fight. This is not where RA wants to be, and Derenji is definitely online.
Yep, they had it in the bag. Somehow, Mithy got the steal, and it's definitely a crucial steal. Here we go. It is going to be Tempest making the plays for the team as well. Can he burn the life points down? They will get Illidan as well, and this is Kank coming in. Can he get the destructive? The Lose gets it as well. Ocean of Tears to get on the flowing side. This is the map all across for the side of Loops. They have been waiting for this whole chance for the entire game, and this is what we're talking about. The Tempest buff. Look at the disruption, look at the damage from the dragons as well, and this is going to be a tier 3 on the bot lane with the mid lane being threatened as well as we speak.
Yeah, no, I think this may be a curtain call for R8 in game 1, and it's just where these teams normally struggle is in that late game, but they are all back. This is their last Hail Mary play. They don't want to lose too many high ground turrets, because if they do, then that will definitely be the call of times for them in game 1. But we saw that Ryoshi was able to do a lot of damage onto the Jing, onto the DRNG as well. But again, Mayin is just being used as that human ward and waiting for that closer play engage from the Mayin. It seems to be just all a little bit too much brewing up right now, Kin. I'm not too sure what is going to happen. They have the Zhongfei there. Shihab is there as well. They're just going to make sure that this next engage is the best engage they can do.
Yeah, I think we have to keep our eyes on Tempest as well as Kank. They will be the ones that make the game-changing play at this point, right? If they can get the catch with the whatever from Tempest, it might be the game breaker for the side of R8. And here we go, they're just going to chop down the tier 3s. This is essentially a barren base for the side of R8. The pressure is mounting.
Yes, absolutely. We do see the Tempest is into the base at the Crystal as well. So I think it's only a matter of time if Loops is able to execute a perfect interaction and engage here onto R8. We could be seeing the end of game 1. But again, the second Tempest Dragon is up in 35 seconds. I don't think they're going to need it. If they do need it, it's just pretty much a guaranteed nail in the coffin for R8. But if Loops is able to steal it this time around, this could be their return of victory and return to the position of victory that they needed. But there's just too many super minions coming through. There's just too much pressure on the side of R8 right now. They have waves that have been pushed. They have the loss of the gold lead. It's ever so slight, but again, it is a gold lead for Loops nonetheless. But they've got to be careful because they can't prioritize that Tempest Dragon, because if they do, they know that one of those heroes on the side of Loop Esports, like Mayin, just able to just crush those lanes very quickly, is going to mean that they are able to open up that Crystal if they put too much of their focus onto the Tempest.
They're on a timer at this point. Tempest going for the potential option of the backdoor play, right? And they're going to pull away Illidan from the fight, which means there's going to be one massive tank gone from the fight if they choose to proceed accordingly. Now, this leaves Xenon with a very important task of not only finding, but just having the lockdown onto the members of Loops to allow Ryoichi to have the freedom to jump in and out, as well as maybe, hopefully, time the Maple Dance to block out that destructive Loops. That is the one big play that Ryoichi will be able to do, besides getting the kills on the members of Loops.
Yeah, you can kind of see that they're playing this Tempest to the side of its pits. It is definitely used as a bait mechanic, because you can see that Loop Esports are either sitting in the bush or just using themselves as bait. We do see that Shihab is in there. Is he going to be close enough to get the smite? Oh, they do get the Tempest Dragon. Are they able to get some kills here, though? Zhongfei with the Unbridled Rage comes through. We see that Splendor comes through on the side of Jing as well. Jing is not down just yet. Down goes Jing. She has no Sage Sanctuary. Shihab is having the time of his life. However, Ryushi is down, and Mayin Tempest is in that bot lane. They have to be careful. We do see that Byron is able to go back, though, but Sage's Sanctuary is on that Mayin. She is just basically posting those minions, hoping that nobody recalled. But again, there is a minion call around here. There's a fresh minion wave at the Crystal. This could be a close call. It's Kin. I'm not too sure what is going to go on here. Is it going to be R8 taking the victory of game 1, or is there going to be a punishment here for R8 if they push a little bit too aggressive? But we see that Byron is going for a bit more of a macro play, just stopping those minions in the mid lane, hopefully trying to get another a higher ground turret from Loop Esports. But we are heading into our 27th minute.
Yeah, for those of you new to the game, there are 3 different waves of the Tempest Dragon. So at this point, R8, they have a lot of time on their hands. They don't mind, you know, taking a less aggressive approach at this point, right? 27 minutes into the game, this is where things get a little bit dicey for both ends, because if you get the kills on the respective important people on your opponents, it could change the whole game altogether. At this point, because we're up at the 26-minute mark, the final evolutions of the items are going to be apparent in the game as well. So right now, Sage's Sanctuary, one of the main win conditions that R8 is trying to depend on, and they will clear up that tier 3 on the bot lane as well. Looks like mid will be safe for the time being, but that's not going to be the case any longer because R8, they are looking for the entry point.
Yeah, no, it just seems like that is the only last bastion stand alive. There is that higher ground turret in the mid lane, but all of Loops are up, all of R8s are up, but this Tempest on Mayin is just so unpredictable. He's just always looking for those background ganks. There is Byron straight into the back of the queue there. He's in onto the Crystal, but we also see Jing trying to pick out the Sunbin as well. Down goes Ryushi, down goes Zenon as well. Nobody on the side of Loop Esports has yet to fall. It is currently a 3-0 trade. There we are, Derenji just doing too much damage, and that the Tempest Dragon Vanguard just aren't able to get in there. We still have Shia Benilidon down, but is that going to be enough to take them and rear them away from that Crystal takedown for Loop Esports? Again, 22 seconds until the next third Tempest Dragon coming through into this match. So match 3, game 1, going all the way to potentially a 30-minute mark.
Yeah, there's a huge miscommunication coming out from R8. I think there was a very preemptive time lapse thrown by Mihoj there, and this was the exact moment the rest of the team chose to dive onto the backlines, specifically Illidan, right? So at this point, is that mistake going to be very punishing? There are four members coming in as well.
4 members coming in. We do see that Byron is eliminated down in there very early within that engage. We have Kaiser being very sticky in, but there is no damage being dealt from the side of R8. That is a double kill going over to Abe right now. So down is already a 2-0 trade for the side of Loop Esports. All they need is those minions, but fortunately for R8, they was able to get enough pressure put into those minion waves before they all fell at that Crystal. But is that going to be enough for them to keep alive? No, Zenon goes down. It is 2 remaining members alive, and there is a minion rocking up to the Crystal, and it is going to be Loop Esports taking game 1 victory from R8 in game 1.
Yeah, a beautiful game by Loops. They held on. They were